You were maybe 7 or 10 or 14 when you first asked the question that never really left you. What is the point of all this? Not in a dark way, not in a dramatic way, just quietly while other kids were playing, you were watching, and somewhere inside, a small voice was already asking why any of it mattered. That question never stopped. It just got quieter and more sophisticated and more woven into everything you do. For most people, meaning is something they think about occasionally, at funerals, on New Year's Eve, in a moment of crisis. For you, meaning is the air. It's the thing you check every decision against, often without realizing it. A job that pays well but feels hollow will slowly drain you in ways you can't explain to anyone. A relationship that looks good on paper but doesn't touch something real inside you will feel like slow suffocation, and you'll wonder why you can't just be grateful, why you can't just be normal about things. But this isn't a flaw in your wiring. This is your wiring. The INFJ obsession with meaning isn't a personality quirk or a spiritual affectation. It is, as far as we can tell from the research, a fundamental orientation of your psyche. And tonight, I want to give you the language for it. Because once you understand it, so many of your strange reactions start to make sense from the inside out. Let's begin with the psychiatrist, Viktor Frankl. He survived Auschwitz, and what he noticed there, in the most extreme conditions imaginable, was that the people who survived weren't necessarily the strongest, or the youngest, or the healthiest. They were the ones who had something to live for, a person waiting for them, a book unfinished, a meaning that pulled them forward through the unbearable. Frankl called this the will to meaning, and he argued it is not a secondary human need, but a primary one, as essential as food, as sleep, as connection. He wrote that when a person cannot find meaning, they experience what he called an existential vacuum, a kind of inner emptiness that shows itself as depression, aggression, or numbness. Most people can tolerate a low level of this vacuum for a long time. They can distract themselves. They can numb it. They can fill it with noise. You cannot. That's the first thing to understand about being an INFJ. Your tolerance for meaninglessness is unusually low. Not because you're demanding, not because you're difficult, but because your dominant cognitive function, what Jung called introverted intuition, or NI, is essentially a meaning-making engine that never stops running. And he doesn't take in information at face value. It takes in information and immediately asks, what does this mean? What is this actually about? Where is this going? What's underneath? It's a function that pierces surfaces, that looks for the pattern beneath the pattern, that treats every experience as a symbol pointing to something deeper, which is beautiful and also exhausting. And also, this is the part almost no one tells you. It means that a life without meaning is not just unpleasant for you. It is unlivable. Let me say that again, more slowly. A life without meaning is not just unpleasant for you. It is unlivable. This is why you can't just settle. Why the practical advice everyone gives you, just get a stable job, just find someone kind, just be grateful for what you have, has never quite landed. It's not that you don't value stability or kindness or gratitude. You do, deeply, but without meaning threaded through them. They feel like a beautiful house with no one living inside. You've probably had periods where you tried to force yourself into a meaningless but comfortable life. Maybe a job you took because it was sensible. Maybe a relationship you stayed in because leaving felt ungrateful. And what happened? You didn't just feel bored, you felt like you were disappearing, like the version of you that mattered was going quiet, and someone else, someone smaller, dimmer, more compliant, was moving through your days. That wasn't weakness, that was your psyche telling you the truth. Frankl would have called it the existential vacuum, making itself known. Jung would have said, your inai was starving. There is another researcher I want to bring in here, Roy Baumeister, who has spent decades studying the difference between happiness and meaning. His research found something that surprised even him. Happiness and meaning are not the same thing. They can even move in opposite directions. A life focused only on happiness tends to be present-oriented, self-focused, and dependent on things going well. A life focused on meaning is often harder. It involves stress, effort, sacrifice, but it produces something happiness alone cannot, a sense that your existence matters. Baumeister found that people oriented toward meaning were more likely to describe themselves as givers rather than takers, more likely to think about the past and the future, not just the present, more willing to endure difficulty if it served something larger than themselves. Does any of that sound familiar? You are almost certainly a meaning-oriented person living in a happiness-oriented culture, which is why so much of the advice you receive feels slightly wrong, even when it's kind. Do what makes you happy. Don't take things so seriously. Just enjoy the moment. These aren't bad ideas, but they're not built for someone like you, for you. Just enjoying the moment without any thread of purpose running through it feels like eating without tasting. And here's where the real difficulty comes in. Because meaning for an INFJ is not something you can decide once and file away. An I is relentless. It keeps asking, it keeps refining. What felt meaningful at 22 may feel empty at 30. What gave you purpose in one season may quietly stop working in the next. And when that happens, you'll feel it before you can explain it. A low hum of wrongness underneath your days, a fatigue that sleep doesn't touch. This is not you being ungrateful. This is not you being restless in a bad way. This is your psyche doing exactly what it was built to do, searching for the deeper thread, the truer version, the meaning that fits who you are becoming, not who you used to be. So what does this mean practically? Not in a self-help way, just in a way that honors your natural rhythm. It means taking your hunger for meaning seriously, not as a problem to manage, but as a compass to follow. It means noticing without shame when something feels hollow and trusting that noticing. It means allowing yourself the strange, quiet work of figuring out what actually matters to you, even when the people around you don't understand why. You can't just be content. It means letting yourself want a life that means something, not a spectacular life, not a famous one, just a life where the thread of purpose runs through the ordinary days, through the coffee, through the conversations, through the small choices no one else sees. Because you were never built for a meaningless life, and no amount of trying to be normal about things will change that. Your system works the way it does, and it doesn't need fixing. It needs listening to. If this names something you've been feeling for a long time, you're welcome to stay. There are more quiet reflections here, made for evenings like this one. No urgency, no rush, just space to keep turning inward. quiet place for deep minds.